absolutely correct, especially with needing the supports like Leona to come out. A lot of peel needed from these supports. See Elise getting banned out in the end. Both Meteos and the Odd One very top dog on Elise, but it's actually Vi that's first picked here.
Yeah, they were fighting really heavily over the jungles there. You could see with the Shyvana, Olaf, and Elise bans, there weren't many junglers left for Cloud9. And since Meteos is one of the carries of Cloud9, which is unlike many of the other teams, it's extremely important for them to lock in that pick. You almost never see a Vi pick this early, or even a jungler, unless it's Elise. So this is really Cloud9 saying they care a lot about what Meteos has to play.
So does this mean that they don't have to completely revolve around Vi with the composition?
No, they're not going to completely revolve around Vi. It's just they want Meteos on something that he can carry with.
Well, that is his ideal situation. Meteos has always said only to enter the lane when he believes he is going to get a gank. So we'll see what his movement on Vi is. And quickly, one of the taster choice pickups that has been there, Lucian and Annie coming in.
It's kind of funny.
Usually, but
this is, if we think back to last year, this is only Annie's second appearance in the North American LCS. X Special was the one who played her first, but that was with Xin Zhao in the bottom lane. So definitely, even though it's been huge at Worlds with Tabe and in all of the preseason and promotion tournaments, somewhat new to the LCS, and now X Special's played it both times it's happened in the LCS.
Let's have to see what Cloud9 decides to prioritize here. They're usually a team that wants things that does not let them fall behind early. That was really the thorn in their side, and any of their 3 losses they had was early game troubles.
A couple of them were from the terrible level 1s, and that's actually diminished now in the 2014 season, because First Bloods that happened very early on in the game only grant 60% gold to the opponent. I know everyone's probably familiar with these, but I'm just restating it because it's this whole brand new season.
And I'm, with the brand new season, I'm super interested to see what these guys decide to play, because over in every other league, there's a lot of really different supports being played than in any other position. The supports are varying.
Yeah. We got to see a lot of crazy stuff, especially if anyone checked out the European Challenger yesterday. We saw support Gragas. There was a support Malphite in the 3rd place game over in the OGN. And that's Odd One's Nunu coming back right there. Jungle Nunu. All the other junglers were pretty much gone for him. There wasn't a... Even though Cloud9 banned a lot of junglers for the Odd One, there's still Nunu left, and he is completely comfortable playing that.
And the Nunu pickup isn't something we actually see a lot. It's here or there, but everybody plays it a little bit different towards the late game.
At least so far in the 2014 season, we've seen it mostly in OGN.
Right.
Because they like to play a very heavy disengage control-focused game with the fast pushing and the vision control. That's what Odd One should be trying to do. They just got to make sure they have enough pick potential, which they're starting to develop with that Gragas. So they'll be trying to move around the map, get as much vision as possible, and then allow Bjergsen to make plays with his Gragas.
Pretty sweet setup from TSM so far. Trying to mix it up. Like I said, we're going to be seeing these new things, and we'll have to see how Odd One decides to use Nunu, because, like we said, he likes that Elise. He likes those champions he can get in to help the lanes. Odd One was always on the back of Reginald to be there to help him, and Nunu's really there for utility.
He's always been a pretty good counter jungler, too, as long as his lanes are having success.
Right.
Since they've picked Bjergsen's mid lane already, it'll also allow TSM to have the last pick for Dyrus and hopefully counter whatever balls brings out.
We'll have to see. He did bring out the Rumble once again for us over in the Boda. It's something that he has always been successful on, and really mentality for balls is something that always keeps him in the game. You can put him on any champion.
Listen. No.
Welcome to the North American LCS.
Wow. So I was going to say that's going to be a Teemo top lane, but they already have the Renekton as well. Because Teemo actually beats up on most of the current top laners in League of Legends. People just haven't started playing him because they don't think he transitions into team fights very well.
That was on the score sheet. You could see the sheet there being handed off to the ref saying, "We're done with this now, thank you."
We'll be fine with Teemo. Wow, so
I thought the Nunu pick was going to be really the highlight here. No.
So the last time TSM was in a game with Teemo, it did not go well. They were playing against Gaming Gear EU at the World Playoffs, and that was Reginald's final game of his competitive career.
Haunting him back with that. They did get First Blood.
He did get First Blood.
Pulled out the hide and seek. We're going to have to see what's in the top lane here. I actually figured Renekton would be going to the team solo mid comp, but we see instantly they lock in that Nasus. A lot of stuff here. A lot of stuff to think about. Will Hai actually just be playing mid lane Teemo?
or not. I mean, mid lane AP Teemo, he can try and get some vision control. Has he learned this from Bjergsen? I don't think so. I feel like this is something Hai has done all on his own. Oh, man. That was really unexpected.
Yeah. Okay, I think everybody can tell that about right now. This is going to be an amazing, and he actually is going to go flash barrier on this, so just super safety. Maybe
of course,
he's got Scout Roam.
People want to kill Teemo, so you better have the barrier. I'm looking at Cloud9's team composition here, and especially early on, Teemo should be able to beat up on Gragas fairly well. Having the range advantage, and Teemo is just an absolute lane bully early on. So since they have the Caitlyn as well, they could definitely be going for the fast push and try and get down as many early turrets as possible, at which case Teemo would transition into a split pusher, more likely in the top lane, start shrooming up things, and Renekton would go with the rest of the team. That has to be what they have planned.
It already sounds annoying. They picked him, and I'm just ready for it. As the teams load onto the Rift, it's time to check out who you think will win this match. If you already voted already, I am sorry. According to LOL Esports, 58% of you think TSM will be taking home the first win of the spring split. And those came in before the Teemo pick. So.
That means 42% of people voted for Teemo.
Yes.
That is not good. Nope, seriously. That is...
It's going to be
exciting.
It's interesting to see. Obviously, it's a little gimmicky because I don't think this is something they're going to put into every strategy they run throughout this season. But if it works for them, then they have not shown anyone anything coming into Super Week.
No, this is not anything Cloud9 showed even a hint of against Fnatic in the Battle of the Atlantic.
Right.
And they prepared heavily for that Battle of the Atlantic. Let's see how heavily they prepared for TSM.
All right, let's get the best of ones underway. That's the way the NALCS works. And we are going to see it be Cloud9 versus Team Solo Mid. Not very much of a grudge match, a little rivalry here.
Oh, it's a rivalry. This is a developing rivalry. They're 1-2 in the standings at the end of the playoffs last season. Obviously, Cloud9 only had one split. They have kind of a lot of friendship between themselves, but that does not mean this is not going to turn into a fierce rivalry, because if they are the best teams of the NALCS, which they are favored to be here, they're going to play great games.
You heard Crepo. Doesn't matter who you are right now. People just want to win. Friend, foe, family, second cousins, doesn't matter.
Started with a Dorn's ring on Teemo, too. So you have to just pay attention to Teemo. You don't see him in pro play. He's not going mid lane, which makes actually a lot more sense for the greater context of this composition. What they've done with the Caitlyn is they put her mid because she is the best pusher. Spinning their guns.
That's class.
It's classy.
It's class right there.
Yeah. That's when the thresh hook comes from the fog of war and just finishes off Wild Turtle. But now they have two side laners in Renekton and Teemo. Bad manner. Ooh.
Wow.
-1 on sportsmanship right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll count. Lock it up.
That's like when boxers come in at the start of the ring and they hit gloves and the guys gives them a quick jab in the face. That's what Sneaky just did.
Sneaky's not known to do that. Wow. The season changes people. All right, let's see what these guys have.
Look at how much they're roaming already. They're already doing a bit of a lane swap. So they have actually put Hai in the mid lane. Teemo can basically go anywhere he wants in this team composition, but they've decided to put him mid.
Yeah, they switch everything back up. Maybe they're just trying to play early mind games. It was red, and the wards are quite well placed by Cloud9, so they were able to move around the way they wanted to. We can get words out. It's the start.
And we haven't seen Balls play very much Renekton either. He was mainly just a Rumble player. He played Rumble in 4 of their 7 matches overall, and he doesn't care about the lane at the moment. He's just trying to farm those wolves, probably even go back to base, and then go up, because he's just going to be sitting in a 2v1 and getting heavily denied anyway.
I remember we always recall back to when Boy did this. It was about level 2.5. He said that you don't need to get there for those first 2 waves. You're just going to get poked out of lane. It's going to be harder anyways. So you're right. They are playing it completely safe, except for Meteos. He's trying to walk around and figure out where Dyrus was.
That was almost dangerous. He knows where Dyrus was now because he sees that the white is missing, unless he thinks the odd one took the white, but almost no jungler will take the white very, very early on in the game. Really smooth counter jungling by TSM early on. This is basically securing them 3 of the 4 buffs. because there's no conceivable way for Meteos to get to TSM's red.
And this is exactly what you do with Nunu. Get in there, nom a minion, and just ice blast and make your way out. Will they decide to actually go for the gank, though? This is taking quite a bit of time. They had a ward down at blue, and I think they'll have the safety, but they're just going to pressure them off.
Yeah, that's basically what the top laners are relegated to when they have to play in these 3v1 matchups. It's either that, just run away and get denied, or die.
They're denying more than they're really letting him run away. They're not even letting him get to the jungle, so they're keeping him completely out of situation there. Wild Turtle Special, Odd1 look to take this turret quite fast, but they've already lost theirs, and they don't even have 50% on that. So Cloud9 definitely ahead in this push, and it's already going to call Dyrus back to lane.
Balls really did a sneaky thing there. He got a lot of experience by waiting in that tri-brush, more than Dyrus, and they're going to be ending up to trade turrets regardless. It's just a question of how much TSM wants to value denying experience versus taking tons of damage to their turrets here.
They don't have the strongest turret takers either. Whoa, great
crazy
catch on to Dyrus, pushing him even more out of lane. This is going to be a long, long game for Nasus.
See, I wonder how worth it that actually was. That yes, they guaranteed he was out of experience range, but they want to take that second turret down more than anything. And they spent all that time going for him. Can they finish off this turret? It's going to be, I don't think they can finish.
Yes, and I also think that it's good for them because TSM still hasn't grabbed that top turret. They're still denying balls, but he'll have everything to farm once this falls.
Well, it seems like not much has changed so far at the start of the seasons. Remember in Season 3, everyone started doing the early dives, and at this point they're just doing turrets.
Whoa!
Well then, he had been winning in farm, 28-20, but that was at the cost of taking a lot of harass for Bjergsen. 2 turrets down already for Cloud9. Now where do they go? They wanted to do that fast push strategy. That's why they have the Teemo. They're going to go mid next.
This is like watching old TSM when they would just huddle around your turret and wait for you to just slowly die off from getting poked out. But Cloud9 giving them a bit of their own medicine right now in that bottom lane. Already down to the inhibitor turret in under 5 minutes. Highs flash in mid coming up at around 10 minutes. So I'll have to see if they even try to start going for champions. That might be the first spot.
And there's actually been a lot of discussion lately because the next patch, there is damage reduction on the middle and top lane turrets, but not on the bottom lane turrets. And this is kind of our last patch in competitive to see when lane swapping and fast pushing is at its height, because I think a lot of that is going to be changed in future patches. What just happened? They just killed 2 turrets because they had 3 people down there. TSM didn't want to move back. I think we're not going to see this strategy too much throughout the rest of the LCS.
And you think you're also right about the Teemo strategy and getting to be a split push later, not going with the regular Chalice, as you would on Teemo, but going for the boots fast, trying to get that so we can get out of lane. And
also, with Sorcerer's Shoes early on Teemo, because his Toxic Shot does so much magic damage, getting early magic penetration really rips through people, especially if he goes up against Renekton. Or no, he wouldn't go up against Renekton. Dyrus's Nasus, he would be able to harass him down very quickly.
And they have been able to find each other one time after another. Dyrus and Balls matched up now in the top lane. Not too much of a difference there. The CS is going to help, but Dyrus will get there in time since these guys aren't going to have too much of an impact on the overall game for a few more minutes.
But what's interesting here is because Balls was able to sneak so much of that experience in the tri-brush, he's got a level advantage on Dyrus. So if we actually just take stock from all those early game shenanigans, it's absolutely Cloud9. They got 2 turrets and the stronger top laner.
Well, one of the things that was said, as we mentioned by Z-Kent, was that TSM had very strong lanes right now, so this only helps Cloud9 to get through this phase into that fighting phase where hopefully they can put the team mechanics together with Meteos' ganks. 7 minutes on the clock. The Odd1's just hovering on the outside of the left in mid. And it really hasn't proven too much other than that buff steal. They hugged a lot in the top lane, and it's kind of slowed down since then. Everybody was kind of like, yeah, this is what to do. Then what? Yeah.
Well, right now Odd1 has a Sightstone. That's what we see a lot of Nunus do before Spirit Stone. He's going to try and get vision control for his team and maybe stop some of the Cloud9 rotations and stop them from being able to roam to and from lanes. It doesn't appear like High is ready to start being the split lane pusher because he wants, honestly, level 11, 12, 13 before he really starts becoming that super annoying, make a bunch of lights in your jungle type Teemo.
Right.
And at this point, TSM's trying to stop that from being a thing.
And they're actually using Nunu quite well. Being, like with Lee Sin, one of the junglers you can build Sightstone on now and still be okay with it and not lose out in really your tankiness is they have pretty much everything warded towards the bottom and the top side of the map. Already pink wards towards the top side of their own red. So vision is there something they're putting in high priority right now.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's because TSM is putting down so many wards that Cloud9 isn't deciding to roam back and forth, or whether Cloud9 just wants to make sure they keep their turret edge. With Sneaky and Lemon Nation just now deciding to lane with Wild Turtle and Special, it kind of seems like they're accepting their early advantage in turrets and then just trying to farm out a little bit instead of trying to roam around and extend that turret advantage.
Well, that actually, if you think about it, works quite well for Sneaky and Lemon. We kind of said they have the weaker lane, so if you get rid of their lane instantly and they farm in a safe spot with wards all around them, then they're not really going to have trouble. These guys are kind of circumventing a lot of the problems they had in the early game with these movements.
And as far as jungle ganks go, too, Meteos hasn't been able to get much
Yeah, that's true.
It's just what happens in these games where they take one or two turrets very early on in the game. It just confuses the routes for the jungle because those really long lanes are seldom gankable. And Meteos takes a white as far as counter jungling, and now he's trying to come up behind.
High keeps taking hits in mid. The barrier's not there. The flash is about 40 seconds off, but he's going to be able to make it out quite safe.
Bjergsen's starting to do a whole bunch of damage to High. High's going to want to get some magic resistance probably pretty soon. He's actually putting a lot of mushrooms around the dragon area. Maybe they're going to try and get control of that soon, but he has to go back to base. Otherwise, Bjergsen will kill him.
Well, with him backing, it looks like they actually may... Oh, they have a ward on him, so they're not going to get there in any sort of sneaky way, if you will. But with him backing, I like the idea of going to clear it and make sure it wasn't going to be an advantage for Team Solo Mid. And if they had the chance, it was going to be theirs. 10 minutes on the clock now. Still haven't seen too much from these guys in the top lane. Balls is managing to keep that level advantage plus CS advantage in his favor. Looks like he's just going for the Orthodox build for himself.
I think Balls needs to do more against Darius' Nasus. He had a 2-level advantage on him earlier on, level 5 to level 3. He needs to be either farming between Darius' turret, counter jungling, or doing something other than just wasting Nasus' time up here. Darius is still farming at the turret, and now he's even equal in level. Ball's not taking advantage of his advantage right now, and he's letting Darius back in.
I almost feel like it's going to be tough for Cloud9 to really hit the team fight phase. I mean, what does Teemo really offer to a team fight if you're going to have Gragas and Nunu Nasus running into the fight?
What is who going to offer? Teemo?
Teemo, yeah.
Not much.
Yeah.
Teemo does not.
It's going to get scary for
Cloud9
Cloud9 as this game goes on.
No.
Already.
They have to start being a split push team, and that's what they're working towards. Yeah. They're trying to kind of smother on top of TSM's map control. TSM's not too much of a team fight team either when you consider just Sightstone Rush Nunu. That's not a huge team fight thing. He has some zoning in a team fight,
right? But
he's mainly about either disengaging or finding picks.
See the back lane. Wild Turtle and Special rather backing off in their lane. Only a Phage coming out right now to the BF sword for Sneaky, as he's trying to go Bloodthirster, which is different for him as well to have Caitlyn there. He's going to be a primary source of damage for the team coming into this one. And Lemon Nation is actually buying up more wards than usual for the early game. So little changes as well that we were talking about.
Yeah, he's just now picked up his upgrade to Nomad's Medallion, but no, he's only got about 16 gold generated on that so far, so it's very new. He hasn't been getting that from the start. And it's really just a slow farm fest. I wonder how Sneaky will transition into a later game, because he had so much success on Ashe, for instance, just initiating team fights. He can't do that on Caitlyn. He needs to sit in the back and just be a carry, and that's not the style we're used to seeing him on. It doesn't mean he can't play it.
So as we're kind of sitting on the back heels here for both teams, we saw an explosive beginning. They both kind of had the same idea. It's definitely Cloud9 that put that into action as Team Solo Mid tried to bring it back in their favor. And there you can see High, a little bit aggressive, being read there by the wards, and just Bjergsen being Bjergsen keeps himself safe. But it looks like Cloud9 is finally trying to mobilize and get something else going here other than the laning phase.
It's about time right here. It's a Bloodthirster completed for Sneaky. I thought they were going to do this way sooner, Riv, but now they have 4 people in the mid lane. They have a lot of shroom control on the sides, or at least they did a little while ago. High's trying to get more, that he has the blue buff, and they're going to do their best to push up, especially since they caught Bjergsen during a back cycle.
Oh, Elimination grabbing the odd one. Didn't really need to. Putting damage on the turret. They're going to be fine with this. They catch Bjergsen at a great time actually being back to base. And mid turret is actually prepped right now. Special throws it out, but the fancy flash fingers from Cloud9 keep him safe in mid lane.
Really saw that one coming. Barely getting out of there. Bjergsen would have definitely thrown them back into the turret had that Tibbers landed the good stun. But look at how much of that turret was gone. It's now still a 4-man siege. They're going to try once again, and they know that Tibbers is down this time.
So that really, this rotation started. We saw Elimination and Sneaky coming up from the mid lane the first time they pushed out Bjergsen. They get the turret, and this fight begins now. Elimination very low. The Ignite takes him out. First blood going over to Wild Turtle, but the 80 carries trade retribution kills, and the calling on the backdraft is able to take down Vi. Oh, very nice job coming out, Turtle. It's up on the Sneaky. The 80 carry draw. The Ignite takes him down, and Xpecial's able to pick himself up a kill. Teemo coming out of nowhere, and he gets him with the mushroom.
Wow, so that was how you punish a push, in a sense, and they forced a team fight on a team with Teemo who didn't want to team fight. You can see Lemonation, while he did get a good box off, the rest of TSM was just dishing out damage. Bjergsen and Wild Turtle will effectively untouched, and Hai was way too close to the sun right there. He does not need to be melee range against Gragas. It meant he couldn't retreat once he was low, and then because Xpecial just got that Ignite on, he finished off. Also, somebody stepped on a mushroom.
That'll happen. 4-2 though, a very explosive fight. I'm glad that happened because they started to slow down way too much for anybody's liking. But good kills coming out. 3-1 in turrets as the mid turret did fall and was prepped very nicely. So TSM needed to get some kills there. They came up with them.
And if Cloud9 doesn't want to lose this game, they need Balls' Renekton to start making an impact now. If he waits another 15 minutes, Dyrus is going to make a much larger impact on Nasus. Dyrus can't do much yet. He doesn't even have his Iceborne Gauntlets. That's what he's building towards. And since Cloud9 just lost a 4v4, that option isn't necessarily there for them. They can't get caught in another fight like that one.
And it seems like Cloud9 is still sticking true to whatever strategy they had. As I said, that kind of started with Elimination coming up to mid. Even though they lost the fight, got a little bit of the turret damage or turret coverage on it. They moved up to the top lane with Elimination and Sneaky and took out the top one. So they're just methodically staying on course right now. Looks like Hai will find Dyrus. Whoa! That was some big damage right there.
That blinding dart hurts.
Just a little bit. I don't think Dyrus wants anymore, but it looks like he thinks he can keep the Wither in range. The body slam through the wall. Hai's not taking too much damage. Dyrus may be able to get himself back in this for one more Wither. Oh, the last barrel. What a do-si-do by these guys. Both teams trying to get into the fight and see which was the best angle. Bjergsen able to make it out quick enough. Ace in the hole. Takes down Dyrus, so they again trade 1 for 1, but it's not over, chat. They get the assault battery into the vault breaker down on Bjergsen, and it looks like Cloud9 is always in the right place at the right time right now. The odd one to follow up in mid.
Teemo's global taunt worked wonders right there. They wanted to kill Hai, and the rest of Cloud9 collapsed down. Let's see if they can continue their push here up towards the inhibitor. It's a very critical point in the game right now because TSM is trying to counter the fast push, but if they leave their inhibitor door open, that's going to be trouble all through the rest of the game.
They have a perfect combination in the top lane here to blood boil Lucian, make him strong. The teleport's going to be coming in. Oh, he goes so far! Will it matter?
He died. He was just way in there because he wanted. That was something we need to be able to see again. That was a big mistake and misplay by Lemon Nation. Total miscommunication. The turrets are actually up for TSM. They got 2 turrets in that Catch the Teemo game, and it is a fantastic job by them to really slingshot their gold back in this game. Plus, the Dragon's up right now.
It looks like they are going to be able to fight for this one. Pink ward goes down, so they have full coverage from that side. It's deep enough to see the back as well, so it's really going to be pretty, Vi is there. Meteos just on the outside. This is going to be hard for him to be able to get in and out. His flash was used on the last fight, so he is all in if he tries to go for this. I don't think they're going to waste that much for the gold. It's not that big yet. He gets it with the Pilt over Peacemaker. An amazing hit. The early smite coming out, the smite for Meteos did not happen, so that was an ability take.
No, it was a Caitlyn steal against a Nunu. Odd one completely messing up his timing on his Consume plus smite because nobody should take Dragon from a Nunu, especially the odd.
Really, the only thing that can happen is that you're relying on your team to burst with you. And this is actually the fight from before as well for Lemon Nation.
So Lemon Nation was trying to go aggressive on Xpecial right as the teleport came in. So he drew turret aggro, got stunned as Dyrus came in. And it was a whole bunch of trouble. But they should not have been trying to get that aggressive there. That's actually a second case where they should have focused on the turret instead of worrying about killing Annie.
Yeah, absolutely. We see coming into that Dragon, to touch on just the end point, is that everybody focused on Meteos when he came over the wall. So with Odd1 expecting his team to do all that final burst for him to chomp it, you get damage to the champion and he smites early.
Yeah, I still feel like it's too much. It's too much damage that he has.
Just this, yeah.
I mean, you look at Bjerg at his smite, it's doing 640 damage, and his consume is doing 400 to minions. It's 1,000 damage
grand
spike. And if you time your consume properly, you know when the damage hits, and since smite is an instant cast, you should get 1,000 damage instantly.
Yeah.
And it should not be stealable if you execute properly.
Sneaky coming through big for his team there. They hold just about 1,000 gold lead, which really isn't much in the big picture of things right now. The Morello Namicon coming out for high along with the Haunting Guys. And it looks like Sneaky's going to be turning that into a static shiv for himself.
He's going to be going most likely just for the Caitlyn push. They want to continue to push this game. They had the 4 turrets at 15 minutes into the game, which is a very early time to have them. But really, after they got those 2 kills on Dyrus and Bjergsen, they stopped that one. It looks like Meteos was trying to catch himself at Dyrus, but he just was a little bit too slow.
Yeah, they used the Talisman of Ascension there to get a bit of a chase. They were not able to pursue fully. So 4-3 in turrets. The mid turret going down really hasn't affected too much. High gets kind of baited into this fight. Annie's just on the backside, but he also thought he had Bjergsen in a position that he wanted so many mushrooms, but it's not going to be enough because Bjergsen just levels up through the damage anyways. Yeah,
and as long as High doesn't have any defensive itemization, he is consistently vulnerable to Bjergsen just destroying him with a couple barrels. That was a nice kill by Bjergsen.
And this is where we have to wonder what Cloud9 was actually trying to do with this composition, because they got the 3 roam on to the first 3 turrets.
Yeah.
They got the bottom turret, which they dove a little heavy, but are they going to start using Teemo as a split push? Do they keep Teemo in the fights? High's kind of trying to do his own thing right now. It's not really telling the story.
I think High wants to farm up a little bit more. He does just have his Morello Namicon and his magic penetration right now. As long as Cloud9 stays in the game and continues to split push smartly without taking deaths, then his shrooms can get powerful enough that they can bait TSM around some objectives and maybe get them low for mushrooms. If we notice TSM, they don't have a Sona or any type of Soraka, Taric, Kale, things that can heal well off of mushrooms.
This might be big for them if they can get Dyrus to teleport away and into this fight. But it's been disengaged. It would have been big moves here that Balls would have been able to use on top, but you can see he's already coming down. They are anticipating this to be a fight or his push mid.
Yeah, Cloud9 pulled back because they were expecting TSM to be coming down. If Balls makes it into this fight, they would have an edge. But if it's a 4v4 in the bottom lane, as we've seen, TSM generally has the advantage. They're going to be the ones trying to siege this against Sneaky's wave clear.
You have to consider they know they're there, but right now TSM has full vision on the team of Cloud9. So they would be kind of walking into this fight with a few enemies in the fog of war. But nobody decides to engage on this. They back off. Balls did a great job of rotating down, pressuring that mid lane, so they didn't really have to focus in the top.
Yeah, games with the mid Teemo are a little weird.
Yep.
As far as progression into the mid and late game. He is kind of like a second AD carry, if you think of it like that, but he gets to preemptively place all of his mushrooms to really want to fight in the same area. So it's maybe a cross between an AD carry and a Heimerdinger, if we're really trying to do this one. And TSM needs to be very careful not to chase into the zones that High has set up. As long as TSM kind of sticks to the lanes and can get a few more pickoff kills and then cascade that into objectives, then they're going to be okay. But other than that, Cloud9 is doing good split pushing now.
We got to see that Dyrus is actually effectively trying to stop that, build himself a frozen fist right off the bat to really just get anybody out of his lane and deter them from trying to split push.
I'm really surprised that High hasn't started laning against Dyrus yet. Dyrus is completely itemized against Renekton with nothing but Ninja Tabi and even more armor from his Iceborne Gauntlets. If he actually went toe-to-toe with Teemo, High would beat him.
We saw earlier the Blinding Dart took 10% of his HP right off the bat. We'll have to see. The kills are coming slow. The turrets are just around the same.
Yeah, Balls' Renekton hasn't made much of an impact here. Yeah, Dyrus is a little bit farther behind in farm now.
Yep.
I think that's in part because he did have to go up against High that one time and ended up costing him his life. But a Renekton that farms 200, 300 CS, but doesn't make it into team fights, isn't useful.
Right.
Yeah.
Team solo mid, trying to get that vision up. Odd1 getting caught there, and they do a perfect job of getting him on the side. Wild Turtle, ace in the hole, takes him down, and Balls is going to be able to segregate the rest of the team.
Nice
there.
hook.
Great hook onto a special. They take him down. A double kill now for Balls as he is finally able to get himself what is needed to make an impact in these fights. That's
really important, actually, because Cloud9's already set up a couple of those mushrooms, and it was actually one mushroom that ended up helping to damage with that hook from Lemon Nation. Odd1 was trying to get some of his map control back. If we actually look at the entire screen here, he's lost vision past the jungle. Right over Shroom, trying to check if there is a dragon, and he just got a face full of Cloud9 right there.
They've been waiting for it.
The rest of this fight was just them chasing him down. Very good hook, obviously, by Lemon Nation, but TSM was already in full retreat because Odd1 got taken down so quickly. And that's their zone control in team fights.
I was just about to mention that. It's almost like Cloud9 used not having as many wards to their advantage, knowing, well, that's not their advantage, but knowing that TSM is warding so much, let me say, because they have a Sight Stone, but they also upgraded to Ruby, so that means they have wards everywhere, most likely. So when Cloud9 found out where they weren't, they hid there, and they ambushed.
And they're forced into all getting sweepers, too, which is actually decreasing the amount of wards TSM can put on the map.
Right.
Now that High is starting to become more of an annoyance on his 1-in-3 Teemo. Even though it doesn't look like he's impacting the game, he's having some very heavy swings on the way TSM moves, the way TSM thinks about playing, and the way they build their trinkets.
Well, you can see the mushrooms down the bottom side of the map. That is what makes you love Teemo so much, if you will. And we're going to see if TSM finds those quite soon. A lot of the aggression is going to be hovering towards Baron at this point. 25 minutes into the game, a 3K gold lead. Still very close between both of these teams and doesn't tell really anything that's been happening throughout this game.
If Cloud9 could sweep the Baron area a little bit better, they could get way more shrooms up towards there and start actually trying to force something. They obviously don't want to try and take Baron against a Nunu and a Gragas. That seems like just giving Baron to the other team. But they can catch some type of TSM fights if they can better control that area.
Good amount of burst now on Bjergsen. He has had that Rabadon's for quite some time now with the Athene's finished, but it looks like Kai isn't going for any resistances really for himself. And like you said, should be matching up against Dyrus. They're really not taking advantage of something that would put them quite ahead, but he has the teleport as well, so he can always be in and out of that fight.
Yeah, at least now for High, he's kind of trapped in two different places because he wants to be Baroning up or shrooming up the Baron.
Yeah.
And if he's bottom lane fighting against Dyrus, he can't do that anymore.
Coming into our first NA/LCS match, the Teemo and the Nunu pick. Kai kind of faking us out with that one.
Yeah, Cloud9's still undefeated against TSM, and if they beat him with Teemo, maybe it's like the ultimate disrespect. But with the way they've been playing this, High has been doing pretty well.
That's
like
great.
It does seem like a
If it wasn't, it is
thing
now.
they've been doing.
Thanks,
yeah,
Kat.
no problem.
Looks like that wasn't a Talisman of Ascension. Just the Blood Boil going on as they get more wards down, the pink wards as well, in high priority positions. But right now, that's being won by C9. C9 has that pink ward, and Dyrus is actually taking quite a bit of damage in this fight before using his ultimate. That Sunfire Cape is giving Balls a pretty good edge.
Yeah, Balls can definitely out-trade him for now. If he gets him a little low, and specifically if High can get down there to put damage on Dyrus, who still hasn't itemized any magic resistance, he would fall the Teemo pretty quickly. Meteos, though, is going to take some time.
They think they got enough damage to take him down. Not enough Fury to get the stun, but the slow comes in. Will he be able to activate the W? He will not. And that's one thing both these teams have, is a quick way to get to their team. They have the speed ups. High can get there. Lemon Nation was already heading down towards the bottom side before he got hit up. But everybody's ready to control the bait of these fights.
Yeah, that was actually... I don't think that gank for Cloud9 was meant to kill. It was meant to draw attention from TSM away from that middle turret. And only because Bjergsen was in that middle lane to ult away the wave did it save that turret. That was almost a very clever turret take by Cloud9, but Bjergsen was ahead of the game.
C9 coordinating when the sweepers are up. We did say that teams switched out the sweepers, or the trinkets to the sweepers now, and that's keeping TSM really on top of the vision. It's all about the mushrooms in that bottom half of the map, which is almost over mushroom now since they've been focusing on the top side, which still makes me consider where the Teemo pick goes and what it does for this team.
it does definitely seem like Cloud9's gained control. So TSM has to get it back. And considering Mushrooms have a 10-minute life on the map, it takes a while to get some of this back. No matter how much they sweep, since they don't have self-healing, even if TSM starts winning some fights, they hit a couple shrooms, they have to turn around. It's very hard for them to get some of this control back on the map.
Nobody really has the sustain to hit.
This is why everybody hates playing against Team
Mushrooms.
Because you just can't do much once he gets ahead.
You've done all that work to get out, and then you hit a final mushroom.
He kind of suffocates the map.
I like that. He does suffocate the map. Bottom half, not looking too happy right now. It looks like Dyrus actually ate a few down there. But they keep focusing on the mid lane. They're giving time for Dyrus to farm up here. He is getting the magic assist he needs. We finally see High in the top. Are they stalling too much?
See, here's the thing. I don't know what either team can pull off right now to try and get something done. Obviously, TSM wants to force fights and punish Cloud9 when they try and push. But Cloud9 spent an extremely limited amount of time actually sieging around the turrets. Right now, Cloud9 seems very content to just take the objectives when they come up. Right. And Cloud9's kind of trapped in a spot here where they don't have the lead they wanted to, that they would need to have a strong 5-man siege that could actually fight TSM 5v5. So they're waiting on the Dragon respawns, doing that. They're scared of doing Baron because there's Gragas on the other side.
Right. They don't have like a crushing initiation. They have Vi, but then Gragas just blows you away. So kind of stalled out in a few aspects of that. 8 to 6.
Here we go.
Oh, there is the Vi. Where's the Gragas barrel though? Whoa, Xpecial may not even get that for himself. The explosive cask is still up. Bjergsen finally uses it, but it's incomplete defense. It's when he was dying. The Odd One looking to go down next. He tries to put Absolute Zero in a great spot. Lemon Nation with a nice fling onto that, but actually the kill goes to Balls, and they're able to get another kill onto Dyrus, leaving only Wild Turtle to run for his life.
So here's the big thing that Cloud9 was waiting for, is TSM stopped just defending their turrets, and they started moving into the Shroom field. And they hit a couple, then Cloud9 initiated clean on through them. That's why they won that fight so decisively. It was the setup time that was required for that. Now Cloud9 has the edge they wanted.
Really a great lockdown onto Xpecial. Tibbers was seen in that fight, but he was downed instantly as well. Turtle's going to do what he can to soak up everything and anything before he has to get back to base here. They still have good damage. It was just a great initiation from Cloud9.
Absolutely, and you saw how low Xpecial was before that. Some of that, I think, has to happen from just not having that much self-healing going into that as they're just taking this Dragon. You can see Xpecial was already down a little bit when he got Vault Breaker. So at this point, when they're trying to run away, you can see there's some poison on Odd One, just from High, who is now the untouched 80 carry, and in a sense Cloud9 has 280 carries just beating on TSM, who are in full retreat mode. The control was lost from TSM when they lost their CCing support so early, and when Odd One wasn't able to set up a spot for Absolute Zero.
Wow, exactly what they wanted coming into that fight. Cloud9 showing why they were the top team of the split last year, and just during intense gameplay, they are able to continuously play at a consistent level that is #1.
Hey, only lost 3 times, beat TSM every time, and there's a death cap now finished by High. No defense. If he ever gets caught out by Bjergsen, that fight will not be in favor of Cloud9. But it's the Shrooms that means TSM has to win fight after fight to come back, and with the Baron buff, all the objectives that they've accumulated, and specifically the fact that Sneaky is sitting on so many powerful items right now. He's 4 full items compared to Wild Turtle, who doesn't even have his last Whisper yet.
Balls is getting pretty big, and right now that's one of the big factors. Wild Turtle wasn't even in the fight long enough to take damage, which means you know he wasn't doing damage to anyone. Balls was chasing straight ahead for that kill, and looks like they want to do it again. Setting up High even towards the front line. They have Baron now, so they want to get this 4 minutes of use out. They have about 2 minutes left on it. 32 minutes in the game, and this is when we had said the game would be somewhat over between these two teams, but it looks like they actually have quite a bit to go depending on this next fight.
Yeah, Cloud9's average win was in the 30-minute range back in the Season 3 split, but they were dominating pretty much everyone. There was a time in this game where TSM seemed like they had a bit of an edge, if not already controlled TSM a little bit, but they're looking like they're in a lot of trouble now. Just a couple hits from Sneaky force a retreat from TSM, and that turret, even with the wave clear from Bjergsen's Gragas, was just not defensible.
Piltover Peacemakers just absolutely tearing through Wild Turtle right now. It's not something you want to see happening. Well, 16s, they're still pretty much the same. And the highest level in the game is going to be Balls and Bjergsen right now, so everybody's kind of staying on the same level within that terms. 56,000 though to 47,000. Last time we looked at that, it was a 3,000 gold gap. The Baron, the Dragons, and the Turrets have told us a different story now. We kind of have something to go off of. Cloud9 has been capitalizing on the few mistakes that Team Solomid has been making, just wholly.
And this is kind of where we also get to see the absence of Reginald in TSM.
Yeah.
Was when they had the 8 kill to 4 lead, they weren't making any really strong decisions. A couple people were making their own individual good plays. You would see X-Special and Bjergsen make a good play in the mid lane, and then nothing would happen after that. As a team, they weren't moving around extremely well. That's obviously Cloud9 was doing things to try and prevent that, but the old TSM with Reginald may have been a little bit more decisive in that situation.
More turrets in favor of Cloud9, and these aren't even ones that are needed to be used for purchasing items right now. They are fully in the driver's seat of this first matchup here in the Spring Split. And it looks like they want to get the first win as well and keep that record going strong. High, not even with the team right now. He's going around to make sure he can be a nuisance, make sure he can place more mushrooms in case of pretty much anything. That's really the situation. Get the lanes pushed as well in mid. It looks like they're going to keep going at the split push.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be taking their time with this one. They slowly were able to get their lead in the first place. They have waited out this entire Baron just pushing around, and now they're kind of, I feel like they're going to be refreshing their Teemo shrooms in the jungle of TSM, making sure they're always up. When the next Baron comes through, it's going to be a literal minefield for TSM to walk through, and Cloud9 may be able to just get another one. Obviously, in the meantime, if they can get a catch on someone, they would take it, but they're completely content playing this one safe.
And this one's a really, I gotta have to say, it's a thumbs up to Meteos if he can find and engage on the next fight. For TSM to be pinched into their base, Gragas, Tibbers there, that's going to be quite hard to get a good initiation and without your team falling behind quite hard. So it's up to Meteos, really, if he can put this one, unless TSM steps outside the base, but why would they want to do that right now?
So what happens now if Teemo wins Game 1 of North American LCS? How much more popular does he become?
I'm so glad Ranked just refreshed.
Yeah, I know. Nothing could go wrong. We won't see many Teemos in a new ranked game. Oh, dear.
Thanks, High.
Especially with his Liandry's Torment at this point. If someone hits a Shroom, and they don't have much magic resist, which no one on TSM really does, a third to half of their health with one hit. I mean, let's look. Every individual Shroom is dealing 810 damage, and that's not counting the Liandry's burn. So, look out.
I don't want to. There he is, just hobbling down in the bottom lane. He looks safe. He looks safe, right? That's completely safe. And he just puts a ward over the wall to make sure he can kill anybody he needs to. That sounds safe. So High doing what he needs, but the team, they actually not allowing him to fully split push. It's like a babysitted split push. Babysat, if you will, because of English.
Bjergsen would still kill him. He's got to land like 2 spells, and he would get rid of that Teemo once and for all.
Everything is theirs right now. This is their base, and they are pretty much taking it. They have not allowed TSM off their side of the court here. In a few minutes, the Dragon will be theirs. Baron is in 40 seconds, and really that's the only thing they may not want to do unless they get the fight that they haven't gotten yet. It's been a slow game since that last fight.
Absolutely. Cloud9 has just decided that they have the edge. They got that fight because TSM finally tried to take some of their territory back, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So at this point, until Cloud9 invades deeper into TSM's territory, TSM's not going to put up a fight. If TSM comes back into the Shroomland that has happened from Cloud9, they're going to get fought again. But until that happens, we get to see Cloud9 farm.
TSM is making it out of their base on this one, and it looks like Cloud9 is letting them have everything they want about it. Looks like they're going to get down to mid-turret here. Could see a pinch from both sides. That teleport on Dyrus is up, but they're not choosing to do any sort of split pushing, and they're literally trying to ward up and get vision of all of mid lane as they go down it, because this is what feels safe to them right now.
Exactly, and they're staying in the lane because they know that's the place where the Shrooms are probably not going to be.
Everybody got a pink ward
on the back.
Right.
This is the place where TSM would want to fight. If there is a fight they would win, they would want it here.
You can see the second Cloud9 does come back in, they start to really measure each other up in strength, and it's usually TSM backing off a little bit more. They know they have the siege clear. They can keep stopping stuff at a turret, or stopping minions at a turret, I should say. They're the ones to lose this one, right? It's Cloud9 that's trying to win this one very hard. So TSM's just kind of letting the ride go, and hopefully they get a good fight.
Yeah, Cloud9's not deciding to fight them in open ground, though. Cloud9 would only, because they're smart, they're only wanting to fight where the Teemo shrooms are. And it's on Cloud9 to try and catch someone in the open where the shrooms aren't. And at this point, with the Baron happening, TSM should go straight up the mid lane, because that's what they know is safe, and they can actually get something there.
They are going to try to take down this turret. Baron's going to go to Cloud9. This means TSM feels that they can take what they need here and make the fight still happen in their favor. They're getting good poke damage, not even good poke damage onto Balls. He's going to keep him there for the fight. He is almost locking down 5 members. They don't want to move. They're all magnetically attracted to him, and Dyrus is the focus for Cloud9 right now. This could give Wild Turtle and the rest of the team enough time to do damage, but Cloud9 is just too tanky. Meteos coming through, the AoE damage picking up 2 in a row. Bjergsen is the last one standing. They only lost Sneaky.
Yeah, that was a completely landslide victory for TSM. It was kind of the best chance TSM had of finding a fight, but they were so far behind. 12,000 gold plus Baron before that one started. It's just Cloud9 steamrolling through TSM now.
Really focusing to a great fight, or not focusing, I should say. Both the tanks getting a little bit of love in the beginning of that one. I think it cost TSM a little bit of damage, and there are now inhibitors going down at 39 minutes into the game. 14-9 is the score. As we saw, the champions started to be farmed more than the turrets now. That is 7-4 in turrets.
And just kind of to go back to the team compositions, when Team Solo Mid picked Nunu, they picked a heavy control composition as we looked at this. So if they get caught in a full team fight and don't move, they're not taking advantage of his mobility edge, since they lost that with Teemo. Then Cloud9 can just collapse in around. Hai actually flashed in from behind the fight here to just pop Wild Turtle as he was trying to do this fight, and once that happened, the fight was over. Bjergsen got distracted, finishing off. Since there's no AD carry, there's no damage left for TSM, and that's the big reason Cloud9 won that fight.
2 big double kills coming in for Hai and Meteos there, and these guys have been playing a fantastic first matchup coming in, especially with Teemo. It does bring the unpredictability of what's going to happen, and you kind of forget he's there in a fight, as they did last game when he flashed over the wall. But he doesn't really bring anything to the fight, so it's also kudos to Hai for making it work this well.
I think a little bit of this is the element of surprise.
Right.
And innovating AP mid Teemo in competitive play here.
In competitive play, I like that. We'll stick to that.
Yeah, in competitive play. I mean, the European Challenger Series yesterday had the first Yasuo Trundle I had seen, where Trundle would throw up his pillar, and because that's a displacement, Yasuo could ult off of it. And it was against Ocelot's Challenger team, actually, Gamers 2, who did not move on, and they're out of this particular Challenger Series now. Because it seemed like they weren't ready for it. They didn't know how to deal with the initiations. They were shocked, and once it happened a few times, they were kind of lost as to what to do. I think there's a somewhat similar thing happening in the TSM game, is TSM hadn't fought against Hai's mid lane Teemo before, and even though Bjergsen killed him a few times, once he started to kind of control both sides of the map, since he was a mid lane Teemo, and he was getting shrooms down in the Dragon area and in some of Odd1's jungle entrances, TSM just lost their map control, and they didn't know how to get it back against a Teemo. That's the big reason Cloud9's pulled ahead.
Dyrus getting a little bit of focus from the lockup as Cloud9 knows they have the lead. They know, usually you say, oh, we want the hook up, but the hook being down isn't really even that much of a problem for them. Again, they get another one onto the odd one, straight on, threading the needle. Meteos to Wild Turtle on the back line. Absolute Zero goes down, but nobody's really in it. Just the tanks eat up the freeze, and it looks like they are going to keep pushing Team Solo Mid back into their base. The inhibitor easily going to come from this, chat, and Cloud9 continues to flex their muscles.
Yeah, they are so strong right now. Baron buff still ringing around, a lot of them right here. 6 items fully on Sneaky, 400 CS, because he has been free more than anyone else to farm as much as he wants in this game.
That's it. To compare the AD carries as well, you see 6 items Sneaky. You're looking at that Bloodthirster still being finished and the Magic Resist item still being finished, which are wholly and completely finished on the other side. 4,000 gold separates the AD carries.
And you'd think a lot of times if you have a Nunu on your team, it can make up for some of that gold disadvantage.
Regular speed.
But when you run Nunu with Lucian, it is really just for the mobility, because Lucian isn't an AD carry that relies heavily on his auto attacks. He's a lot about weaving his spells in between his auto attacks and getting those double shots off. The Blood Boil doesn't help him as much as it would Caitlyn on the other side. Even with all that, like, Lucian Nunu is still really popular, but it's because of the map control and mobility, which TSM is not taking advantage of.
Another dragon for Cloud9. 6 for Dragons, 2 for the Barons. So these guys have really just overall controlled the entire game. It's something we've known them to do. And they made it through laning phase a little better than, we would expected from what happened last.
That was one shroom on Dyrus.
It needs to stop. There
Stop.
we go.
Look out. Okay, he's staying with
He's like,
the minions.
where are the minions going? I can follow these. Their personal sentries.
They hit one.
Everybody is just, it's like a huge hailstorm that everybody's trying to get away from. You just see them all running home.
Poor
15
guys.
to 9.
And it sucks for TSM. At this point, it's pretty much hopeless for them because they've shown they can't win straight-up team fights. You clearly don't beat Teemo by running through his shrooms on the other sides of the map. And those are the two options TSM has here.
I'm sure TSM would be loving an Oracles right now. Figure out what's happening around them.
Well, they got all those sweeper guys. They're not working that well.
Can't sweep them if you're just going to walk into it first. 44 minutes on the clock. The front door is wide open, and the welcome mat has been placed out by Team Solomid. They're going to go ahead and give up this inhibitor. They're going to stretch it out most likely to the top lane here. They have the bottom lane already pushed out and everything already warded. TSM has actually reverted to not really needing to ward anymore. The only thing they have is in that bottom lane. So it's almost as if the Nunu itself fell behind in the vision. Cloud9 was just able to overcome it.
Yep.
I guess when you don't want to go in your jungle,
you can't ward your jungle.
You can't ward your jungle.
Exactly. This is going to be their tried inhibitor number 3. It wouldn't surprise me too much if Cloud9 waited a little bit longer, decided to pick up another Baron just for the safety. You can see this game stretching quite long because Cloud9 is taking their time, and really the only fights they've taken are the ones that TSM has kind of opted into. Cloud9 knows that they could have starved out TSM this whole time, and they did. And they waited for TSM to go and walk into their territory.
Cloud9 has 3 Banshees, 4 Banshees fails. That's kind of mean. You're dodging pretty much all of those ults that make you not want to initially dive, especially that's on Meteos. If they don't get the right ults onto him, he's in and to the back line, as he was last time. He hit Wild Turtle straight past the inhibitor, and Absolute Zero didn't even keep balls off of him.
Sneaky didn't make it in. He can just shoot it from over the top. Oh, he's got a Thresh Lantern now. Come on, hop, take the lantern. There we go. That was the time to take the lantern.
That was pretty Mad Life-ish.
Got a loose definition of what Mad Life is nowadays.
So we got Dyrus still clearing out in the bottom lane as he does, pushing minions. And we're going to see if they can get to this top lane. The inhibitor turret is the last one that sits. 11 turrets on the map. There's 8 crushed down by Cloud9 right now. TSM has only been able to find 4. So really, they're hovering home base pretty much all game here. They've had a tough time. Whenever
Cloud9 wants, they can probably go in for the final fight here. They're going to wait for as many spells for TSM to burn as possible. Culling definitely hurts. Sneaky's going to have to go lifesteal a little bit off of that. But to talk about your Banshee spells a little bit more, actually, is it has stopped TSM from making any type of comeback in a sense. Because either X-Special or Bjergsen wants to initiate with a Tibbers or an Explosive Cask, and if it's onto a Banshee's build, that is not possible.
It's like a different form of the Gambit Guardian Angels.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Special. Oh, man. They're hitting everything at full length right now. Great catch there by Wild Turtle.
Cost him a bit of health, though.
A lot of health. They're going to get this turret off. It's the poke damage that they have is very hard and conditional to get, but they're doing it over and over again. TSM's letting it land. Inhibitor now to go down. They just took down Dyrus, and that's a 70-second timer.
Yeah, and Sneaky is at max items, which is why these guys are melting so hard. High and Sneaky both hitting the same target. No matter what he has, is going to die in under 5 seconds. So they're just going to crush through this. If TSM wants to fight him, Cloud9's going to end it.
50 seconds on the Death Chamber for Dyrus. They take down 1 turret. Even the net does a hell of a lot of damage there to Lucian. Wild Turtle backs off to the fountain to get what he can. Locket of the Iron Solari goes down, but is it enough? The Absolute Zero put out for show, and it looks like the Nexus will be the next to fall here. The culling comes out. They are just absolutely taking everything they can away from TSM, and the win. 17-9, your first game of the North American LCS, and the 2014 split goes to Cloud9.
They took their time, but that was a good game plan by Cloud9. Nobody expected a mid-lane Teemo for the first game, but that's how